the crash of the video game industry, and it's legendary. Pitfall, Donkey Kong, all those games made so much money in 1982 that, and Activision was so heavily publicized. I mean, we used to joke, we'd write a 2600 game, throw it up in the air, and money would fall on the ground. And obviously, we weren't the only people who figured this out. So when you would go to the Consumer Electronics Show and see the video game companies, there were two of them. There were Atari and Activision.
The Atari business was wonderful. We had Activision, we had Atari, and that was it. Had a handful of designers, and we were making good games. And then a couple of guys spun off from Atari and became a Magic. Rob Fulop and his guys, and did Space. I think it was Cosmic Arc or Space Arc. Did a few other games like that that were very cool, and it was a small industry.
6 months later, we went to the Consumer Electronics Show, and there were 30 of them. There were Atari, Activision, and 28 startups, all funded by VC money. And the way the VC money worked was you're a programmer, make a game. Guy never made a game before. It's all right. You're a programmer. So the market started to get flooded with really terrible stuff.
And I remember the night Garry and I went to a Video Shack. And they had a bunch of games on the counter. And we saw a particular one. And I don't want to speak ill of a fellow designer. But it was a Games by Apollo game. And I knew the chap since then who wrote it, nice guy. And it was called Skeet Shoot. And Garry and I turned the box around and saw the future in our hands right there. We said, oh my God, someone else is programming the Atari and doesn't really know how to do it.
All these other companies couldn't possibly put as many great games out as they were trying to do because there just wasn't that much video game talent in the world. I mean, at a time, David Crane would come out, or I'd go to a trade show, and we'd all sit in a room. And I would turn around and say, yeah, it's pretty funny. There's probably like 25 video game designers on the entire planet. And we're all sitting here.
We used to go to these CES shows, and I used to have guys from other companies come up to me, and when I was at the booth, they'd say, hey, Dan, so I got a question for you. On the Atari, what does the memory area of 2A through 2C do on the, or what does this part of the 0 page do? And I'd look at him and say, dude, this is proprietary. I can't tell you what the hardware does. But they'd be asking us questions because they wanted to improve their games. So they'd be kind of saying, could you help me make my game better? And we knew at that point that so many people were going to get into it who didn't have a passion for quality like Activision and didn't have good game designers like Atari, that they'd start flooding the shelves with games. And that's exactly what happened.
We got to Christmas at probably 84. I think it was Christmas of 84. Well, you had games like Pressure Cooker coming out, and Pitfall 2, and Decathlon, and all these great games, and they're coming out at their $40 or $45 price point, like all the games were at that point. And then you had all these other fly-by-night companies putting out games that Toys R Us or Walmart would take them, because they took everything, so they're making a fortune on video games, throw them on the shelf. In the month, they figure out nobody's buying them, or they're buying them and returning them because they're so bad. So the way the system works is they would call the manufacturer and say, this game isn't selling, we want to mark the price down. And that's your only choice with Toys R Us. You don't say, no, keep it at full price. They say, no, we're either going to mark the price down and get rid of them, or we're shipping them all to your house. What's the address?
KB Toys, Toys R Us, would get a game from all these companies, and no one managed the business for quality. And you'd have an Activision game that was amazingly beautiful that we took 8 months to do. And then you'd have a game that somebody took 6 weeks to do, and it's a really piece of shit looking product. And it'd be in a beautiful box, and it would be sitting next to ours for the same price.
You would walk into Toys R Us Christmas of 84, and there's a bin in the front of the store, and it has 1,000 games in it for $2. And you have to go to the back of the store to see Pressure Cooker for $40. Pitfall for $40, and You know, the guy buying games for his kid for Christmas never got to the back of the store.
The price went down, the quality went down, and the video game business died. Literally, you read the death of the game industry.
I actually remember the day I knew it was over. I went into Toys R Us, and there were games in the bin that were $1.99, and you had a $2 rebate. So you could make a penny if you bought every one of those VCS games. And I said, this business is really bad right now. So we thought we were going to weather the storm. Yeah, it's fine, no problem, don't worry about it. No. Didn't happen. Suddenly, Activision sales went from 150 million down to next to nothing overnight, because the people that lost out were Toys R Us and Walmart, because you couldn't sell all that junk, and they couldn't make any money on it. And basically, when you got to about 1985, Toys R Us and Walmart said, if you ever come into our office and show us a video game, we'll kill you. They don't. Video games are gone. They're the CB radio of the 80s. They're a fad. They have run their course. Goodbye. And they got rid of everything. And that was the end of the video game business.
Thank God Nintendo shows up and, manages the system. Much to the chagrin of many companies who said, I don't want to be told what to do and how to do it. But they single-handedly resurrected the game business by limiting the amount of games and the quality of what you could do. And everybody would say it was, not American, not capitalistic, it's a monopoly, you can't do that, it's restriction of business. But thank God they prevailed, and they resurrected slowly the game business into what it eventually became by